Hello students, in the series of e-lecture, today I will tell you the chip 8255 which is called as programmable peripheral interface. Okay, so before going into the architecture of this 8255, first I will tell you the need of 8255. Okay, so see this diagram. Here I have connected one 8255 to the right side of this 8255. We have connected IO devices, and left side of this 8255 I have connected 8085, which is our microprocessor. This microprocessor is connected with the data bus. Okay, this is the bidirectional data bus, and the IO devices connected with 8255 are through bidirectional ports. So there are three ports as shown over here: port A, port B, and port C, through which the data can be transferred from IO devices to the 8255. Now see, we can connect the IO devices directly to the MUPI, but while transferring any kind of data through IO devices, and suppose at that time MUPI is doing something important or handling the highest priority interrupt at that time, so MUPI will not take that data, and we are in kind of situation that we do not know that data is transferred or not. Means this kind of transfer is known as unreliable transfer. Okay, because at that time may be possible that MUPI is handling some kind of some higher priority interrupt. Okay, so while transferring any kind of data, means suppose we have connected a USB or a CD or a mobile, and we are transferring that data, so we need a reliable transmission. Okay, and that reliable transmission comes from this 8255 chip. Okay, programmable peripheral interface. Okay, so how this transfer happens using this 8255 chips? The IO devices first ask for permission to transfer the data to 8255. Okay, 8255 releases that permission to IO device, then IO device send the data to 8255. Okay, now 8255 receive that data and keep that data in some temporary register, and then 8255 inform the microprocessor that it has some data, and whenever MUPI is free, then it gives the read signal to 8255 and ask for that data. Okay, then this 8255 will send that data to the MUPI. Till then, no other data is received to 8255, because if any other data will be received, then that previous data will be lost. Okay, so that's why I told you about that IO devices first ask for the permission to transfer the data. So once if that 8255 have any kind of data, then it will not issue any kind of permission to the IO device to send more data. Okay, and one more thing I want to tell, that 8255 doesn't have any clock, so it doesn't understand the time, because time these devices understands the time through the clock pulses. Okay, so 8255 doesn't have any kind of clock pulse, so it doesn't understand the time, so it may take any long time to transfer the data whenever MUPI will ask through the read signal. Okay, now so this is the need, why we need this, why we have this 8255 chip. Okay, now see here, this is the architecture of 8255. Okay, so this architecture tells us that in the right side of this architecture, here we can connect the IO devices, and in the left side of this architecture the microprocessor is connected. Okay, and the microprocessor is connected through this data bus, bidirectional data bus D0 to D7. Okay, this is data bus. Okay, now as I told you in this diagram, that 8255 have three ports: port A, port B, and port C. Okay, and these ports come from the chip like 8255. So here this is the port A. Okay, this is an, all the ports are of 8-bit. Okay, so this is the port A, 8-bit port, PA0 to PA7. This is port B, which is also 8-bit port, PB0 to PB7, and this port C is divided into two parts: port C upper, PC4 to PC7, 4-bit port, port C lower, PC0 to PC3. Okay, this is lower bits of port C. Okay, so why this C port is divided, I will tell you within 5 minutes. So before that, see the architecture diagram. Here what we are having, apart from these ports, we are having some control word. Okay, so I have mentioned here group A and group A. So for these two, I have a here there is a group A control word. Okay, or we can say group A control register. And for group B, which I have mentioned over here, we are having group B control word. Okay, so these two will be controlled by this control word, and these two will be controlled by this control word. So whenever MUPI send a data, suppose some devices are connected to these ports. Okay, so whenever MUPI send a data to the monitor, suppose a monitor is connected at this port. Okay, so suppose MUPI send the data to the monitor, and suppose I say a printer or a speaker is connected, or a mobile is connected to this port. Okay, so should that data should that data go to that mobile also, which the computer is sending to the monitor? No, it should not go, and it will not go. Okay, because all these ports have their unique addresses. Okay, as well as why these control words are used for, as I told you in 8259 also. What is the use of control word? The MUPI will send the initialization as well as operational commands to that control word. Okay, and during the initialization, MUPI will send the initialization command, and during the operation, MUPI will send the operational commands. Okay, so those commands should be received by these control words. Okay, so when MUPI is sending the commands, should that command go to these ports? No, they will not go to these ports. Okay, so it means each and every port as well as this control word is having their unique address. Okay, now see this IO map. Okay, here as this is an IO device, so it should have an address of 8 bits. So I have mentioned A0 to A7 8-bit address bus. Okay, so suppose the address mentioned over here are 80, 81, 82 and 83. Okay, so in 8285 we need these two bits of 8-bit address line, which will decide these four address. Okay, suppose the address is 80, so we'll start with 180. What is 80? 10000000. Okay, so for 81 10000001. Okay, so I will change only these two bits because I need four addresses. Why four addresses? One address for port A, one address for port B, one address for port C. Although this port is shown in two parts, port C upper and port C lower. Okay, but logically it is shown over here. Physically it is a single port in the device. Okay, but logically I have shown you in the divided part, like port C upper and port C lower. Okay, so one address for port A, one address for port B, and one address for port C, and fourth address for control word. Okay, so here what I have mentioned, port A, suppose port A is having 80 address, then these two bits will have 00 unique combination, like 0001 1011. Two bits can give us four options. So 0001 1011, these are the four options. Okay, so these bits are used for chip selection and these are for internal selection. Okay, these are this is interfacing of 8255 with 8085 that I will tell you in subsequent lectures. Okay, so how do we go for internal selection? Suppose this is the 8255 chip. Here port A, port B, port C and control words. Okay, so their unique addresses are 80, 81, 82 and 83. So these addresses, so these two bits will decide the address A1 and A0. Okay, so through data bus that address will come. Okay, suppose address for port B will come, then it will go to the port C. Address for port C will come, it will go to the port C. Address for port A will come, then it will go to the port A. Or address for control word will come, then it will go to the control word. Okay, so through data bus, based on these two lines A1 and A0, the address will be bifurcated and they will go to the appropriate locations. Okay, so these are the ports and control word. Okay, see here what we are having, read bar and write bar. So this is an IO chip, so we can connect it through IO read and IO write. These are the two bits through which we can divide the address into 4 parts, because the 2 bits can give us the 4 combinations. Okay, this is the reset through which we can connect the reset of the system, and this is the chip select which is used while the interfacing. Okay, so now the question comes, why this port C has divided into 2 parts. Okay, so for that I will tell you that this 8255 works in 3 mode. Mode 0, which is also called simple IO, mode 1, which is also called as handshake IO, and mode 2, which is called bidirectional handshake IO. Okay, so this port A will work for all these 3 modes: mode 1, mode 0, mode 1 and mode 2. Port B will work for mode 0 and mode 1 only. Whenever port A is in mode 2, this port B will be either in mode 1 or mode 0. Okay, and this port C will work in mode 0 only. Okay, for mode 1, as it is named also handshake IO or bidirectional handshake IO, so some bits are required for handshaking purpose. What is handshaking purpose, I will tell you whenever I will make a lecture on this handshaking. So for this handshaking purpose, in both these mode, 4 lines are needed for particular handshaking. Okay, so whenever this port A works in mode 1 and this port B also works in mode 1, so the upper 4 lines of port C will perform handshaking with port A. That's why I have kept them in group A. Okay, so these 4 lines will be performed handshaking when this port A will be in mode 1. Okay, and these 4 lines of lower 4 lines of port C will perform the handshaking when this port B in mode 1. Okay, so that's why this port is divided into 2 parts. Okay, physically this port is also 1, but logically it is shown over here. Okay, so port C is divided into 2 parts. Okay, upper and lower. These upper 4 lines are used for handshaking purpose when port A is in mode 1 or mode 2, and so these lines are sacrificed for handshaking purpose for these 2 modes, mode 1 and mode 2. Okay, so this is the basic architecture of this 8255 programmable peripheral interface. Okay, so in next lecture I will tell you the commands, IO commands and BSR commands, and then the handshaking. Okay, then we will discuss the interfacing of this 8255 with microprocessor 8085. Okay, thank you.